You know, my daughter knows that I speak about mindset, and the other day she said, Dad, mindset is a part of everything. I want to talk to you about three things that will help you as it relates to your mindset. So, when it comes to mindset, you have to think of things this way. If everything is attached to mindset, then how do we control, manage, or understand our very own mindset? And how do we make that work for us? And you have to understand also that many times when we're doing a job, starting a business, or we have an existing business, things shift. Look at the world today, for example. We're in the midst of a pandemic. Now, whether you believe it or not, the point is everything has shifted. So you have to have the right mindset to handle, to manage, to be able to navigate through this storm, if you will. And that's exactly what mindset is all about. You know, how you think about a thing, how you view a thing, how you handle or manage a particular thing. And we all have the ability to do it. It's just that some of us do it differently because we're wired different, and there are different receptors that trigger different things within us. So one of the things I want to talk to you about as it relates to mindset and managing it is that sometimes you have to abandon your thoughts. Now, I don't mean it in a ridiculous way, meaning that stop thinking. No, what I'm talking about is you have to let go of the past process in which you did things in a specific or particular manner. That may be key to how you move forward in the midst of that transaction, that business, that job, that career, or that pandemic in this case, right? So abandoning your thoughts on the way that you used to do things or want to do things, it may be so epic as it relates to you having a successful outcome. Meaning that, again, if you hold on to something that no longer has value, that's a waste. It may be a waste of your time, it may be a waste of your resources, and it also may affect other people. So when we abandon our thoughts, then we're being open to new possibilities, new practices, new trends, new ways of seeing things, doing things, and understanding things that can yield different results. It does not matter who you are. This applies to anyone, but you must be open to doing just that, abandoning your thoughts. Number two, you want to look at the fact that there's going to be a level of discomfort. And guess what? It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's by design that things are uncomfortable for us because we're walking in new terrain. We're venturing in a new area. We're trying things differently. And you don't have all the answers. In many cases, the reason why we're uncomfortable and we're experiencing this discomfort because fear settles in. And I read somewhere that fear is facing everything and running, or facing everything and being able to recover. Whichever acronym that works for you, the bottom line, it's still fear. But what fear is trying to do, it's trying to protect you. It's trying to tell you, don't do that. Don't say that. Do it this way. Do it that way, because you won't embarrass yourself. People won't look at you differently. People will have a certain comfort level. Meanwhile, you really don't know what people feel or what people think beyond the norm. And sometimes because you are willing to go out on a limb, that may present comfort in other people. But if your fear overwhelms you, and they can see it in your face, they can hear it in your voice, they can see it in your body language, well, likeness attracts likeness. That fear is going to resonate with them as well. So you have to understand the discomfort is by design. So your mindset has to be one that's willing to embrace, accept the level of discomfort as you're moving in, again, whether it's a job, whether it's a business, or even like we're dealing with this pandemic. So because some people may wear masks and others don't. It's uncomfortable. But if your mindset is that I'm going to allow myself to be uncomfortable just to be on the safe side, then I would gamble that you're taking a positive risk. You're doing something that will yield you a benefit, because if it all turned out to be false, well, at least you're still safe. Versus not using the mask and finding out that there is something to be worried about, some kind of contagion, and now you might not be safe. And it's the same thing with life. And I always say it's so important. If you're getting value from this, please like or subscribe. Share it out with other people. Number 3, you want to look at being honest. And being honest means that not just being honest with other people, but mostly being honest with yourself. And a lot of times, for example, I could say that I gained weight because of the pandemic. Well, yeah, I may have. But the truth of the matter is that I was gaining weight even prior to the pandemic for an assortment of reasons. Metabolism slowing down, not exercising, maybe sometimes eating late at night. That's the truth. So we have to be honest with ourselves. And as it relates to, again, I'm trying to keep it specific for a reason. Everyone doesn't have fear for or because of the same thing. And everyone does not struggle with honesty because of the same thing. So if it's, again, a job or a business venture, if you will, or even, again, the pandemic, we have to be honest with ourselves. Why is it that we're upset with other people? Why is it that we're upset? Why is it that we're tense? Why is it, understand your reason for feeling the way that you do. And that's not to say that your reason is singled out to one particular thing. In most cases, what I have found is that people react because of compounded issues. I've said it many times and I'll say it again. Nothing in life is usually singular. Everything is usually compounded. One thing happens that doesn't necessarily affect you, but you have an opinion. Something else happens, maybe in an unrelated area, and you have a feeling or an experience with that thing. Yet another thing happens, and maybe it's just that you're tired or you're hungry or both, and you take all 3, 4 occurrences compounded together. Now suddenly you're irritable, or you're argumentative, or you're annoyed and you can't put your finger on it. Well, as human beings, that's how we operate. And sometimes we really don't understand why we're feeling the way we are feeling. But if we're honest with ourselves, if we're able to, dissect, I talk about this in my book too, critical, in-depth analysis. If you're able to analyze what it is that has made you feel that way, or what are the occurrences that have built up most recently, you may be able to identify why you're feeling the way you are. Then you can be honest with yourself about that particular emotion. You can be honest with yourself about your behavior as of late, whatever it may be. But if you take all 3 things, and you really look at yourself and you say, you know what, things can be different if I do things differently. And that's the long and short of it. You see, you're not responsible for my behavior, and you cannot be responsible for the behavior of maybe things that are out of your control. But you can be responsible for your own behavior. And sometimes, as I stated earlier, that can be very uncomfortable. But if there's a purpose at the end of it, if there's a big goal, whether it's a financial goal, whether it's freedom, whether it's a combination of both, whether it's a combination of proving to yourself that you can do something you've never done, that you want to do, and that you have your eyes on the prize, my friend, you have your mindset triggered in the right direction. As adults, a lot of times we hold on to the past, or we hold on to what has worked for us in other scenarios or other situations, and I get that. But you know what? Every time we embark on something different, something new, something that's out of our expertise, we're either fearful or we have some kind of reason for not being able to adapt or adopt on a new behavior, a new practice. And that sometimes can be the difference between achieving the goal and not achieving the goal, or achieving the goal sooner versus achieving the goal later. And the key thing is to honestly radiate the brain and change the game. And I'll see you next time.